Right, Upamecano. Any news on Upamecano people want to know? Yes, there are. There's a lot of news starting to come out around the Upamecano thing. Now, I want to clear something up because I was reading the comments before the stream and there are a few people who seem to be a bit confused right now about how Liverpool can potentially go and sign some players, but then they're confused about the Upamecano stuff. Right now, as things stand, up until next Friday, Premier League clubs and English League clubs can still do business together. There's an extended window there. FIFA and UEFA allow clubs to have a 12-week transfer window, and the agreement between European clubs was that the window closed on October the 5th for most of the major leagues, but English clubs, i.e. Premier League clubs down the EFL and below, can still do business. The only caveat to that is Premier League clubs cannot do business with each other. So Liverpool, as an example, with Butland, who we'll talk about, could go to Stoke and put in an offer for Butland, whether it be loan or permanent. So just to clear that up, because I've seen a few people in the chat who are a bit confused. So let's get on to Dayot Upamecano. Reports coming out of Germany suggest that Liverpool and Manchester United will battle it out to sign Leipzig centre-back Dayot Upamecano next summer. Now, the reason that people are talking about next summer and the reason it wasn't done this summer is because next summer his new lower release clause kicks in. That release clause is €40 million. He signed a new contract extension a while back. He could have left on a free, but they did get him to sign that contract extension. And one of the payoffs in that, I suppose, for Leipzig was that they had to accept a lower release clause. So that €40 million release clause kicks in next summer. And for a defender who's still only 21 years of age, but as experienced as Upamecano is, that seems like an absolute bargain. And it kind of answers the question about maybe why we didn't go in for a centre-back in this window. And I said to you guys before, it does give Jurgen Klopp the option to use Firmino at centre-back and look ahead then to see how the likes of Billy Cometio develops, Reece Williams, Sepp van den Berg, and of course maybe keep an eye out for the likes of Upamecano next summer. Now, if we can pick him up next summer and beat United to that signing for €40 million, which is around about £37 million, that is an absolute steal for a quality centre-back. And I really hope that we're already in his ear trying to get that sorted out for next summer, because it's a name that came up so much between Liverpool fans when we spoke about possible centre-back options looking ahead. We knew the Koulibalys of this world were never realistic. We knew that the Diego Carlos price was a little bit too high for our liking. But when this report came out of Germany, I believe it started with build, but the release clause was factual. €40 million next summer. So it's us and United again going head to head. That's going to see who can get over the line. United had their chance obviously with Sancho this summer. They shit the bed on that one. There's a lot of stuff going around. Maybe Pochettino being tapped up for the United job. Maybe they're going to wait and try and spend big next summer if Pochettino comes in. I don't know. I don't really care, to be honest, about Manchester United side of things. But Liverpool are in a really good place right now, and Upamecano would look at our club and think to himself, surely that's where he wants to go to continue his development under a manager who has proved that he can bring players through, coach them and improve them, unlike Mr. Solskjaer up the road at Old Trafford. Now, I'm not knocking Solskjaer. He's a younger manager, hasn't got as much experience as Klopp, obviously, but if it's a head-to-head battle, surely to God we come out on top. I mean, the only difference there might be that Manchester United could potentially be willing to pay him wages far in excess of what Liverpool will be willing to pay him. But then again, we'll have to wait and see. From a playing perspective, and purely from a playing perspective, obviously most players would look at this club, play alongside Virgil van Dijk at the heart of that Liverpool defence under Jurgen Klopp, for a club that I don't know how we'll get on this season, but I'm sure we'll do well. We'll go deep in Europe, I'm sure, and hopefully retain the Premier League. We surely are an attractive option to Upamecano, and I've yet to come across really a single Liverpool fan that would say no to us getting that deal done. So it kind of becomes a bit more clear now why this summer the centre-back option wasn't perhaps looked at. We can get away with Fabinho. We have Joe Matip, Joe Gomez, Virgil van Dijk as well. Obviously we've got the younger players if necessary, but I'm liking what I'm hearing already. I'm liking the fact that we're already trying to get these things sorted out. We're already in players' ears for next summer. So keep an eye on this one, folks. It's a long time to go yet, I know. But as I said, that release clause does kick in at €40 million, so clubs can go and get Upamecano next year, and I'm sure that Liverpool are going to monitor him throughout the season as well. It would be a fantastic piece of business, it really would. And I've spoken about Jurgen Klopp trying to build his second team at Liverpool, and by second team, I always like to reiterate that transition from maybe the older players into him building his second, hopefully, title-winning team. Well, if you brought in Upamecano, if you had the likes of Sepp van den Berg, you have Trent Alexander-Arnold, Neco Williams, Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, Could bring back Raheem Brewster if we wanted to. Young goalkeeper Pitaluga and Kylian Kelleher as well. And many, many other fine young players coming through. You can see that transition taking place in the next year or two. So exciting times ahead for the Reds, and I'm going to keep trying to put a positive spin on everything, because it's very hard to take our minds off that Aston Villa defeat when we know what's coming ahead. That tough game at Goodison Park against Everton after the international break, one that it's definitely a must not lose for Liverpool anyway. I can't wait. I'm almost counting down the days right now to that one. But Upamecano anyway. Let me know your thoughts on him in the comment section. If you're watching this back later on, if you're in the live chat now, let me know your thoughts on Upamecano as well. If you're a United fan, would you like to have this guy in your team? And do you think he can outmuscle Liverpool financially? Potentially. Now, the release clause is the release clause, so no one's going to surely pay above that. But when it comes to wages and stuff, I don't know, maybe United will be able to offer more money than Liverpool. Actually, they will, because they've already paid higher than our wage structure. We don't have anybody at the club that I'm aware that's on more than a base wage of roughly 220 grand a week. I think would be our highest earner. Now, I could be wrong on that by a little bit, but United have paid Alexis Sanchez a lot more than that. I think they're even paying Dean Henderson more than that, or at least up somewhere around that, and they're paying David De Gea about 350 grand a week as well. So, as I've always told you guys, the only reason United are in a mess right now is the reason that they're being run, basically. They've got owners and Ed Woodward there that just don't seem to either care about the club or have a clue what's going on. So, these are the times when we should be looking to capitalise on that mess at Old Trafford before the likes of maybe Pochettino comes in and maybe they start looking like a bit more appealing to players like Upamecano than they may do right now. So again, let me know your thoughts on him. Marko Grujic moving on means the gaffer now has the 17 spots required for the non-homegrown players filled, and can supplement that with 8 players I mentioned in the previous categories. I'm going to pull up an image now just so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. So the non-homegrown players currently at Liverpool, the 17 that Jurgen Klopp has been able to register: Alisson, Adrian, Virgil van Dijk, Andy Robertson, Joe Matip, Kostas Tsimikas, Fabinho, Gini Wijnaldum, Thiago, Naby Keita, Xherdan Shaqiri, Roberto Firmino, Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah, Takumi Minamino, Diogo Jota and Divock Origi. And then the players who fall under homegrown are Kylian Kelleher, Joe Gomez, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Nat Phillips, I'm gathering that that's Neco Williams, Vandenberg, Milner, Hendo, Chambo, Jones, Woodburn, Wilson and Elliott. So they're the 25 that Liverpool have registered, the 17 with the 8 homegrown players as well. Now we can supplement that, as I said earlier on, with any player under the age of 21 as well. So that was a headache that we needed to solve, and Grujic moving on loan does solve that headache. So it kind of works for everybody with regards to that loan period, and Grujic getting experience, so it's a win-win. But just wanted to touch on that one before we get into what you guys are probably wondering about tonight. Sorry, I was clicking on the wrong buttons there.